Jiwoo stood in the center of the grand chamber, feeling smaller than she had ever felt in her life. The ceiling stretched so high above her that she could barely see it. Around her, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that rose up like a giant wave frozen in time. They were the Galactic Council, the rulers of thousands of worlds across the galaxy. And they were looking at her with eyes that showed nothing but cold dislike. She was the ambassador from Earth. She was here to speak for all humans. But as she looked around the chamber, she knew that no words would change what was about to happen. The Council had already made up their minds about humanity. They had decided that humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too different from everyone else. They wanted Earth gone. High Chancellor Vorath sat on the highest seat in the chamber. He was a tall creature with blue skin that seemed to glow in the dim light. His forearms were crossed over his chest, and his three eyes stared down at Jiwoo without any warmth. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "We have listened to your words, human ambassador. We have heard your arguments. But the facts remain clear. Your species has been part of this council for only 50 of your years. In that short time, you have caused more disruption than most species cause in 1,000 years. You question our laws. You refuse to follow our traditions. You build weapons when we ask for peace. You explore places we have marked as forbidden." Jiwoo kept her face calm, but inside her heart was beating fast. Everything Vorath said was true in a way. Humans did question things. They did explore. They did build and create and push boundaries. But that was not a crime. That was just who they were. "We are not perfect," she said quietly. Her voice was steady, even though her hands wanted to shake. "But we have also brought much good to this galaxy. Our doctors have cured diseases that your scientists could not solve. Our engineers have built stations that house millions of your people. Our traders have brought prosperity to worlds that were dying. Is this not worth something?" A wave of whispers moved through the chamber. Some of the alien delegates nodded slightly. Others made sounds that Jiwoo could not understand. But Vorath simply raised one of his hands and silence fell again. "What you have done does not erase what you are," the Chancellor said. "You are a young species, aggressive, emotional, unstable. We have seen species like yours before. They always bring chaos. They always cause war. We cannot risk the peace of this galaxy for the sake of one troublesome world." Jiwoo felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. Getting angry would only prove their point. Instead, she looked Vorath directly in the eyes and spoke with calm dignity. "And what do you propose, Chancellor? What is the Council's decision?" Vorath smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Tomorrow, at the rising of the primary star, we will hold a formal vote. The motion is simple. Humanity will be exiled from Galactic Council space. You will have 20 of your cycles to remove all humans from all worlds within our borders. After that time, any human found in Council space will be arrested and imprisoned. Your ships will be forbidden from using our trade routes. Your communications will be blocked from our networks. Earth and all human colonies will be cut off from the rest of the galaxy." The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others argued. A few looked uncomfortable, but none stood up to speak against the motion. Jiwoo stood still in the center of it all, her mind racing. 20 cycles. That was barely 3 weeks in Earth time. 3 weeks to evacuate billions of humans from hundreds of worlds. 3 weeks to pack up cities and farms and factories and entire civilizations. It was impossible. Vorath knew it was impossible. He was counting on it. He wanted humans to beg. He wanted them to panic and plead and show weakness. But Jiwoo did not beg. She did not plead. Instead, she bowed her head slightly and spoke in a voice that carried across the chamber even through all the noise. "I understand. Humanity will respect the Council's decision. We will await the formal vote tomorrow." Then she turned and walked toward the exit. Her assistant, Minji, fell into step beside her. The young woman's face was pale, but she said nothing until they were out of the chamber and walking down the long hallway toward their quarters. "Ambassador, what are we going to do?" Minji whispered. 3 weeks is not enough time. We cannot possibly evacuate everyone. The colonies alone would take months to move properly." Jiwoo glanced at her assistant and allowed herself a small smile. "We are not going to evacuate, Minji. We are going to disappear." Minji looked confused, but before she could ask what that meant, Jiwoo tapped the communication device on her wrist. The small screen lit up, showing the face of a man with tired eyes and gray hair. It was Dr. Tae Yang, Earth's greatest scientist and the keeper of humanity's most important secret. Dr. Jiwoo said quietly, "Activate Ghost Protocol. Full implementation. Begin immediately." The old scientist's face broke into a wide grin. "Finally, I have been waiting for this day. How long do we have? The vote is tomorrow at dawn, but I want us gone before they finish counting." Dr. Tae Yang laughed. "Gone before the vote is over? Oh, Jiwoo, you have a gift for drama. I love it. Consider it done. Ghost Protocol is active as of this moment. By this time tomorrow, the Council will be voting to exile a species that no longer exists in their space." The screen went dark. Minji stared at her ambassador with wide eyes. "What is Ghost Protocol?" she asked. Jiwoo smiled wider this time. "It is what humans do best, Minji. We prepare for the worst and hope for the best. 3 years ago, when we first realized the Council might turn against us, we started planning. Dr. Tae Yang and his team developed new technology, faster ships, better engines, things the Council has never seen before. We have been building in secret, preparing for this exact moment, so we can evacuate in time. We can do better than that. We can leave tonight. Every human, every ship, every colony. We will be gone before the Council even wakes up for their precious vote. And they will never find us." Minji looked amazed and terrified at the same time. "But where will we go?" Jiwoo looked out the window at the stars beyond. "Somewhere they cannot follow. Somewhere we can build our own future. The Council thinks they are exiling us, but really they are setting us free." Back in the Council chamber, Vorath was celebrating with his closest allies. They drank exotic liquids and talked about how humanity would beg for mercy. They imagined the chaos when humans realized they could not possibly evacuate in time. They dreamed of watching the proud human ambassador return tomorrow with tears in her eyes, pleading for more time. But Vorath did not know about Ghost Protocol. He did not know about Dr. Tae Yang's breakthrough in faster-than-light travel. He did not know that even as he celebrated, thousands of human ships were powering up across the galaxy. He did not know that humanity had been ready for this day for 3 long years. He did not know that by the time he cast his vote tomorrow, there would be no humans left to exile. And that was exactly how Jiwoo wanted it. Commander Hyun-soo sat in the command chair of the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters, watching dozens of screens that showed different parts of the galaxy. On each screen, green dots represented human colonies, stations, and ships. There were thousands of them. In a few hours, they would all need to vanish. His communication officer turned to him. "Sir, we just received the signal from Ambassador Jiwoo. Ghost Protocol is active. All stations are standing by for your command." Hyun-soo took a deep breath. He had trained for this moment for 3 years. He had run simulations hundreds of times. But now that it was real, he felt the weight of billions of lives resting on his shoulders. One mistake, one delay, one ship left behind, and people would die. "Begin Phase 1, he said calmly. "Agricultural worlds first. Start with the outer rim and work inward. I want families and civilians off those planets before we touch anything military." Across the galaxy, the message went out on secret channels that the Council could not monitor. Humanity had spent years building a shadow communication network, invisible to alien technology. Now it proved its worth. On the farming world of New Seoul, families gathered their children and their most precious belongings. They had practiced this drill many times. Everyone knew where to go, which ship to board, what to bring. Within 2 hours, massive transport vessels descended from the sky. They were sleek and silver, built with Dr. Tae Yang's new technology. Each ship could carry 50,000 people and all their essential supplies. A young mother named Bora held her daughter's hand as they walked up the ramp into the ship. The little girl looked back at their farm, at the fields her family had worked for 20 years. "Mama, will we come back?" the child asked. Bora smiled and squeezed her daughter's hand. "Someday, maybe, but right now we are going on an adventure. We are going to see new stars and build a new home. Does that sound exciting?" The little girl thought about it, then nodded. "Will there be other kids there?" "Thousands of them. You will make so many new friends." On the industrial world of New Busan, workers shut down the massive factories that had produced everything from medical equipment to starship parts. The Council had relied on these factories for decades. Human workers were skilled and efficient. The aliens would miss them when they were gone. Factory supervisor Kyung-mi made sure every machine was properly shut down and every worker was accounted for. She walked through the empty halls one last time. remembering all the good work they had done here. Then she locked the doors and boarded the last transport. Back at headquarters, Hyunsu watched the green dots on his screen start to blink and disappear. Each blinking dot meant a colony had evacuated. Each disappearing dot meant they had jumped to faster than light speed and were on their way to the rendezvous point. Phase 1 complete, his officer reported. All agricultural worlds evacuated. No casualties. Moving to Phase 2 was trickier. The mining stations and research outposts were scattered across dangerous parts of space. Some were in asteroid fields. Others were near unstable stars. But humanity had planned for this too. Captain Sung-ho commanded a rescue squadron specifically designed for difficult extractions. His ships were small and fast, capable of navigating through hazards that would destroy larger vessels. He personally led the mission to extract scientists from a research station near a black hole. The station was studying exotic particles that only existed in extreme gravity. The research was groundbreaking, but the location was incredibly dangerous. One wrong move and the ships could be pulled into the black hole and crushed. Sung-ho's voice was calm on the radio. "Science team, this is Rescue 1. We are coming in fast. Have everyone ready at the airlocks. We will dock for exactly 10 minutes. Anyone not aboard by then gets left behind." But Sung-ho was lying. He would never leave anyone behind. The 10-minute warning was just to make sure people moved quickly. In reality, he would wait as long as necessary. The evacuation went smoothly. The scientists had packed their most important research data and were ready to go. 9 minutes after docking, the last person was aboard. Sung-ho's pilot pulled away from the station and engaged the new faster-than-light drive. The feeling was strange. The old FTL drives that the council used took several minutes to charge and made a loud humming sound. Dr. Tae-yang's new drives were instant and silent. One moment they were near the black hole. The next moment they were thousands of light years away, safe in empty space. Meanwhile, Minji was working on the political side of Ghost Protocol. She had to keep the council distracted while the evacuation proceeded. So she filed formal complaints about the Exile vote. She requested meetings to discuss the timeline. She asked for clarifications on dozens of minor legal points. The council bureaucrats were annoyed but obligated to respond. They sent her messages and scheduled conferences. They thought she was desperately trying to delay the inevitable. They had no idea she was buying time for millions of people to disappear. On Earth itself, the evacuation was the most complex. The homeworld held over 10 billion people. Moving them all required precision and speed beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. Dr. Tae-yang had planned for this too. For 3 years, his team had secretly built a massive fleet of transport ships. They were hidden in deep space, powered down and invisible to sensors. Now they activated all at once and descended on Earth like a swarm of silver locusts. In cities around the world, people looked up to see the sky filled with ships. There was no panic. Everyone had known this day might come. Children had practiced evacuation drills in school. Adults had emergency bags packed and ready. Entire neighborhoods boarded ships together, maintaining their communities even as they left their world behind. Dr. Tae-yang himself oversaw the evacuation from the main spaceport in Seoul. He was an old man now, with more years behind him than ahead. But his eyes shone with excitement as he watched his plans come to life. His assistant, a young engineer named Dal Ho, checked the numbers constantly. "Sir, we are ahead of schedule. At this rate, Earth will be completely evacuated in 16 hours. Dr. Tae-yang smiled. "Excellent. And the cleanup teams? Standing by. Once the last civilian is off-world, they will erase all traces of our new technology. The council will find empty cities and abandoned stations, but they will not find any clues about where we went or how we got there so fast. Perfect. Make it look like we struggled. Leave some half-packed bags. Make it seem like we were rushed and desperate. Let them think we barely escaped in time." Dalho grinned. "You are devious, sir. I am human," the old scientist replied. "It is what we do best." As the night wore on, Hyun-soo watched his screens with growing satisfaction. Green dots kept disappearing, but not because anything was wrong. They disappeared because the ships carrying those people had jumped to FTL and were now beyond the range of council sensors. By midnight, 80% of humanity was gone. By 3 in the morning, 95%. By the time the first light of dawn touched the council's capital world, the last human ships were jumping away from Earth. Yun-Su stood and stretched. His team looked exhausted but triumphant. "Final count?" he asked. 100% evacuation, sir. Every human accounted for. Every ship away clean. The Council's sensors show nothing unusual. As far as they know, we are all still sitting in our homes waiting for their vote. Yun-Su allowed himself a rare smile. "Then let us go join them. Shut down this station and jump to the rendezvous. I want to see the look on Vorath's face when he realizes what we have done." The headquarters went dark. The last human installation in Council space powered down, and then it too jumped away, leaving nothing behind but empty buildings and silent machines. Humanity had vanished like ghosts in the night. And the Council had no idea. High Chancellor Vorath woke that morning feeling pleased with himself. Today was the day he would finally rid the galaxy of the troublesome human species. He dressed in his finest robes and ate a leisurely breakfast. There was no rush. The vote was not until midday, and the outcome was already certain. His aide brought him reports as he ate. Everything seemed normal. Human ships were still docked at their usual stations. Human colonies showed normal power signatures. The ambassador had not sent any desperate messages begging for more time. Vorath found this strange, but he assumed the humans were simply in shock. They would understand the reality of their situation soon enough. He arrived at the council chamber an hour before the vote. Other delegates were already gathering, talking among themselves in small groups. Most seemed excited. A few looked uncomfortable. One delegate from a species called the Methari approached Vorath quietly. "Chancellor, are you certain this is wise?" The Methari delegate asked. "The humans have been valuable trading partners. My world relies on their medical technology. What will we do without them?" Vorath waved a hand dismissively. "You will find new trading partners. The galaxy existed long before humans arrived. It will continue long after they are gone. Besides, they are too dangerous to keep around. Better to be safe than sorry." The Methari delegate did not look convinced, but he said nothing more. Vorath took his seat and waited for the session to begin. At exactly midday, the great bells rang. The council chamber filled with delegates from across the galaxy. Hundreds of different species, thousands of different worlds, all represented in this one room. Vorath looked around with satisfaction. This was power. This was order. And the humans threatened both. He struck his ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times. The sound echoed through the chamber and everyone fell silent. "Members of the Galactic Council," Vorath announced, "we are gathered today to vote on the exile of the human species from Council space. Before we begin, does the human ambassador wish to make a final statement?" All eyes turned to the human section of the chamber. But the seats were empty. Jiwoo was not there. Vorath frowned. "Where is the ambassador?" he demanded. A council clerk checked his datapad nervously. "She has not checked in today, sir. We sent messages to her quarters, but there was no response. We assumed she was too ashamed to attend." Several delegates laughed at this. Vorath smiled coldly. "Very well. If the humans cannot even face their judgment with dignity, then we shall proceed without them. Let the vote begin." But before he could continue, something strange happened. The large display screen at the front of the chamber suddenly lit up. Everyone turned to look at it. An image appeared, and the chamber filled with gasps and surprised murmurs. It was Jiwoo, but she was not in the council building. She appeared to be on a ship, standing in front of a window that showed stars moving past at impossible speeds. "Greetings, honored members of the Galactic Council," Jiwoo said calmly. Her voice was clear and strong, with no trace of fear or sadness. "I apologize for not attending today's vote in person. Unfortunately, I am currently several thousand light years from Council space, and the journey back would take far too long." The chamber erupted in confusion. Delegates shouted questions. Vorath struck his staff repeatedly, trying to restore order. "Silence," he roared. "What is the meaning of this?" Jiwoo smiled slightly on the screen. "It is quite simple, Chancellor. Humanity has received your message loud and clear. You have decided that we do not belong in your galaxy. We accept this decision. Therefore we have left. Vorath sputtered. "What do you mean left? The vote has not even happened yet. You were given 20 cycles to evacuate." "We did not need 20 cycles," Jiwoo replied. "We needed only 1 night. As we speak, there is not a single human remaining in Council space. Every colony has been evacuated. Every station has been abandoned. Every ship has departed. "We are gone. Impossible," someone shouted. "That is impossible." A council science officer named Dalho rushed forward with a scanner. He was sweating and his hands shook as he showed the readings to Vorath. "Chancellor," he stammered, "I have been running scans. She is telling the truth. All human settlements are showing 0 life signs. The power is still on in some places, but there are no people. They are all gone." Vorath snatched the scanner and stared at it in disbelief. He scrolled through the data, seeing empty city after empty city. Silent factories, abandoned farms. Ships that were there yesterday vanished today, but how? He whispered. "How did you move billions of people in one night?" Jiwoo's smile grew wider. "That, Chancellor, is none of your concern. You wanted us gone. We are gone. You should be celebrating." A female delegate named Kyung-mi stood up suddenly. Her face was pale. "Do you understand what this means?" she said to the chamber. The humans ran the largest manufacturing network in the galaxy. They produced 70% of our medical supplies. They maintained half of our trade routes. They operated thousands of factories and stations that we depended on. "We will find replacements," Vorath said, but his voice lacked confidence. "Replacements?" Kyung-mi laughed bitterly. "Do you know how long it takes to train a factory workforce? Do you know how complex human medical technology is? My world alone imports medicine from Earth that treats 20 different diseases. Without those imports, people will start dying within months." Other delegates began to realize the same thing. Voices rose in panic. Someone demanded they reverse the vote immediately. Someone else suggested sending ships to find the humans and beg them to come back. On the screen, Jiwoo watched the chaos with calm satisfaction. "I can see you are all very busy, so I will not take more of your time. Please proceed with your vote. Humanity will respect whatever you decide. Although the decision is now somewhat pointless, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. May your galaxy be as peaceful and prosperous as you hope." The screen went dark. Jiwoo was gone. Vorath stood frozen, staring at the empty screen. Around him, the council descended into chaos. Delegates shouted at each other. Some blamed Vorath for pushing too hard. Others blamed themselves for not seeing this coming. A few simply sat in stunned silence. "But we were going to give them 20 cycles," someone said weakly. "They were supposed to beg for more time. They were supposed to struggle and fail and come back begging for mercy." Kyung-mi shook her head. "You do not understand humans at all. They do not beg. They do not struggle. They prepare, they plan. And when you push them, they push back harder than you ever expected." Vorath finally found his voice. "The vote," he croaked. "We must complete the vote. It is the law. What is the point?" Someone asked. "They are already gone. The law requires a vote," Vorath insisted. He needed something to hold on to, some sense of control, all in favor of exiling humanity from council space. Slowly, reluctantly, hands and tentacles and appendages of all kinds rose into the air. The vote was unanimous, but it felt hollow. They were voting to exile a people who had already exiled themselves. "The motion passes," Vorath announced quietly. "Humanity is hereby exiled from Galactic Council space. This session is adjourned." He left the chamber quickly, not wanting to face the other delegates. In his private office, he collapsed into his chair and stared at the wall. He had won. The vote had passed. Humanity was exiled, so why did it feel like he had lost? His aide entered nervously. "Chancellor, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. Trade routes are already experiencing delays without human traffic controllers. 3 major hospitals have sent emergency requests for medicine. 2 mining colonies are stranded because the human rescue services are gone." Vorath closed his eyes. "How long before things stabilize?" The aide hesitated. "The analysts say it could take years, sir. Maybe decades. The humans were integrated into almost every aspect of galactic civilization. Removing them all at once is like removing a vital organ from a body." "Can we find them?" Vorath asked desperately. "Can we send ships to wherever they went and negotiate?" "We do not know where they went, sir. Their ships move faster than anything we have ever seen. They could be anywhere in the galaxy, or beyond it." Vorath sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "What have we done?" 3 weeks after humanity vanished, the Galactic Council was beginning to understand the true scale of their mistake. Engineer Bora sat in a monitoring station on the edge of what had once been council space. She was not supposed to be there. Humanity had left after all, but a small group of volunteers had stayed behind in hidden observation posts. watching what happened to the galaxy they had abandoned. Bora's screens showed chaos. On one screen, a major trade route had collapsed because there were no human traffic controllers to manage the complex flow of ships. Collisions had occurred. Ships had been damaged. Some had been destroyed. On another screen, a hospital on the planet Methar was sending desperate messages. They had run out of a critical medicine that only humans knew how to make. Her partner, a young man named Tai Min, sat beside her listening to radio chatter from across the galaxy. "Most of it is panic," he reported. "Some worlds are trying to maintain order, but others are falling apart. There have been 3 wars in the Outer Rim, small conflicts that humans used to mediate. Now there is no one to stop the fighting." Bora felt a mixture of sadness and vindication. She had lived in council space her whole life. She had friends among other species. But she also remembered the contempt in their eyes when they looked at humans. The way they dismissed human ideas and human contributions. Now they were learning what they had lost. On her main screen, a news broadcast from the council capital was playing. A reporter was interviewing Borath. The High Chancellor looked tired. His blue skin seemed paler than before, and his 3 eyes had lost their arrogant gleam. "We did not anticipate how deeply integrated humanity had become in our society," Borath admitted on screen. "We are working to address the shortages and disruptions. We have reached out to other species to fill the gaps left by human departure." The reporter pressed harder. "But is it true that several worlds are on the verge of famine because human agricultural technology is no longer available? Is it true that the death rate has increased on dozens of planets because of medicine shortages?" Vorath looked directly at the camera. "If any humans are listening, if you can hear this message, we ask you to reconsider." The council was hasty in its judgment. "We would welcome negotiations for your return." Bora laughed bitterly and turned off the broadcast. "Too late for that," she muttered. Meanwhile, in the new human territory far beyond council space, civilization was thriving. Dr. Taeyang stood on the observation deck of Humanity's Hope, the first city station in their new home. Through the massive windows he could see dozens of other stations and ships arranged in a vast sphere around a stable yellow star. His assistant, Dalho, brought him the daily reports. "Population is settling well, sir. We have had minimal conflicts. People are adapting to the new environment faster than projected. Agricultural production is already at 60% of what we need, and we expect to reach full self-sufficiency within 6 months." Dr. Taeyang smiled. "And the special projects?" Dalho's eyes lit up with excitement. "Beyond expectations. Without council restrictions, our research teams are making breakthroughs daily. The new power generation system is operational. The advanced medical facility has already cured diseases we could never treat before, and the defense grid is strong enough to protect us from any threat." "Good. We must be ready. The council will come looking for us eventually." And they did. 2 months after the Exodus, a council scout ship appeared at the edge of human territory. It was detected immediately by Captain Sung Ho's defense fleet. Sung Ho sat in the command chair of the defense cruiser Defiant. His crew watched the alien ship on their screens. It was alone and unarmed, clearly a diplomatic vessel, but Sung Ho had his orders. "Hail them," he commanded. The alien ship's captain appeared on screen. She was from a species Sung Ho did not recognize, with silver skin and large black eyes. She looked nervous. "Human vessel, this is Scout Ship Seeker. We come in peace. We have a message from the Galactic Council for your leaders." Sung Ho kept his expression neutral. "You are in human territory without permission. State your message and depart immediately." The alien captain swallowed nervously. "The council wishes to open negotiations. They acknowledge that the Exile vote was a mistake. They want to discuss terms for humanity's return to council space." Sung Ho allowed himself a small smile. "Tell the council that humanity has no interest in returning to their space. We have found a new home. We are building a new civilization. We do not need them, but the council is willing to offer significant concessions," the captain protested. "Trade agreements, technology sharing, political representation at the highest levels." "We are not interested," Sung Ho repeated firmly. "Humanity left council space because we were not welcome. Now we have our own space, our own future. The council made its choice. Now they must live with the consequences." The alien captain looked desperate. "Please, at least take this data chip. It contains the full proposal from the council." Will you at least consider it? Song-ho considered refusing entirely, but he was curious what the council was offering. Very well, transmit your data. We will review it. But do not expect a positive response. Now leave our territory. The scout ship transmitted its data and jumped away quickly. Song-ho forwarded the information to command and returned to his patrol. Back at Humanity's Hope, Ji-woo reviewed the council's proposal with her senior advisors. They sat around a conference table reading through page after page of offers and concessions. They are desperate, Minji observed. Look at what they are offering. Unlimited trade rights, access to all council technology, a permanent seat on the ruling committee. Even an apology from Vorath himself, Ji-woo nodded slowly. They are desperate because their civilization is collapsing. They thought they could do without us. Now they realize they cannot. Should we accept? Someone asked. We could go back on our terms. We would have all the power. Ji-woo shook her head. No, if we go back now, we will always be seen as the ones who needed them, the ones who came crawling back. We must wait. We must build ourselves into something so strong, so advanced, that when we finally do engage with the council again, it will be as absolute equals, or better, as superiors. How long will that take? Minji asked. Dr. Taeyang, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Give me 10 years. In 10 years, I can make humanity the most technologically advanced civilization in the galaxy. We are already making progress the council never dreamed of. Without their restrictive regulations, without their bureaucracy, we can achieve wonders. Ji-woo smiled. Then we wait 10 years. In the meantime, we politely decline the council's offers. We focus on ourselves. We build our own empire. She drafted a response and sent it back through carefully controlled channels. The message was brief and polite but firm. Humanity appreciated the council's offer, but preferred to remain independent. Perhaps in the future, when circumstances changed, dialogue might be possible. But for now, humans wished to be left alone. When Vorath received the message, he felt something he had never experienced before: helplessness. The humans did not need the council. They did not want to come back. And there was nothing he could do about it. The galaxy continued its slow descent. Trade became more difficult. Technology stagnated. Medical advances stopped. Wars that humanity would have mediated burned on unchecked. The council tried to adapt, tried to fill the gaps, but they were not fast enough, not skilled enough, not innovative enough. Meanwhile, in their hidden corner of space, humanity thrived. Children grew up learning that they were free, that they were powerful, that they did not need anyone's permission to be great, and every day they became stronger. 50 years had passed since humanity left council space. An entire generation had grown up free from alien influence, free from the restrictions and prejudices that had held their ancestors back. And now the galaxy was about to meet this new humanity. Ambassador Haewon was only 30 years old, but she carried the weight of her position with grace and confidence. She was Ji-woo's hand-picked successor, chosen not just for her intelligence but for her understanding of what humanity had become. She had never lived under council rule. She had been born free, and she negotiated from a position of absolute strength. The Galactic Council had sent 12 requests for meetings in the past 5 years. Haewon had ignored them all, but now the council's situation had become truly desperate. Their civilization was fragmenting. Entire sectors had declared independence. Wars raged across multiple systems, and so they had sent one final plea, this time with an offer that caught humanity's attention. Vorath was long dead. The new High Chancellor was a being named Kyung-mi, the same delegate who had first understood the economic disaster humanity's departure would cause. She was wiser than Vorath, humbler, and she understood that the Council's only hope for survival was humanity's help. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a space station that humanity had built specifically for this purpose. It was a marvel of engineering, sleek and efficient, far beyond anything in Council space. When Kyung-mi and her delegation arrived, they stared in wonder at the technology surrounding them. Haewon greeted them in a conference room with windows that showed the vast human fleet arrayed outside. There were thousands of ships, each one more advanced than anything the Council possessed. It was a gentle reminder of who held the power now. Chancellor Kyung-mi, Haewon said politely, bowing slightly. Welcome to Horizon Station. Please sit. We have much to discuss. Kyung-mi sat, trying not to show how intimidated she felt. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. The Council is grateful for this opportunity. HFY smiled. Let us be honest with each other, Chancellor. You are not here out of politeness. You are here because your civilization is dying and you need our help. So let us skip the pleasantries and discuss terms. Kyungmi winced but nodded. You are right. The Council is in crisis. Without human technology, our infrastructure has deteriorated. Without human mediation, wars have spread. Without human medicine, people are dying of diseases we once easily cured. We need your help. We are willing to offer anything. Anything is a dangerous word, HFY replied. But I appreciate your honesty. So let me be equally honest. Humanity will not return to Council space. We will not submit to Council authority. We will not accept secondary status or limited rights. If we are to help you, it will be as equals. Or as superiors. One of Kyungmi's advisors looked outraged. Superiors? How dare you suggest? Kyungmi held up a hand to silence him. Please continue, she said to HFY. HFY stood and walked to the window. 50 years ago, you exiled us because you saw us as dangerous and primitive. You were wrong. We were not primitive. We were simply different. We questioned. We innovated. We pushed boundaries. And in 50 years of freedom, we have become something extraordinary. She gestured to a display screen and it lit up with images. We have cured every disease known to humanity. We have developed faster than light travel that makes your engines look like children's toys. We have built weapons that could destroy entire fleets. We have created art and music and literature that would amaze you. We have done all of this without you, despite you, because you rejected us. Kyungmi watched the images with growing amazement and despair. She had known humanity was advancing, but she had not realized how far ahead they had gotten. So what are your terms? Kyungmi asked quietly. HFY turned back to face her. We will establish trade agreements, but on our terms. We will share some of our technology, but not all of it. We will help mediate conflicts, but our word will be final. We will provide medicine, but you will pay fair prices. And most importantly, humanity will have an equal voice in all Council decisions. No more votes to exile us. No more treating us as lesser beings, and if we refuse? Kyungmi asked, though she already knew the answer. Then we return to our own space, and you continue to struggle alone. We will be fine. The question is whether you will be. At that moment, Dr. Taeyang's daughter Yoonji entered the room. She was the head of human technology development, and she carried a small case with her. She was brilliant like her father, but where he had been cautious and careful, she was bold and confident. Chancellor, Yoonji said with a polite nod, I would like to show you something. She opened the case and pulled out a small device no bigger than her hand. This is a medical scanner. It can diagnose any known disease in seconds. It can also treat most of them automatically. One of these devices could replace an entire hospital wing of your old medical equipment. She set it down and pulled out another device. This is a power generator. It is the size of a suitcase, but it can provide enough energy to run a small city for a year. No fuel needed. It draws energy directly from quantum fluctuations in space. Kyungmi and her advisors stared at the devices in disbelief. This is impossible, one of them whispered. Yoonji smiled. No, it is just advanced. This is what humanity has achieved in 50 years of freedom, and we have hundreds of other innovations like these. We are willing to share them with the Council. But only if you accept our terms. Kyungmi sat in silence for a long moment. Her advisors whispered urgently to her, some arguing for acceptance, others warning against giving humans too much power. But Kyungmi had already made her decision. Your terms are acceptable, she said finally. The Council will agree to equal partnership with humanity. We will establish fair trade agreements. We will respect your independence and your voice in our decisions. And we will formally apologize for the exile vote 50 years ago. HFY nodded. Good. Then let us begin. But understand this, Chancellor. We are not coming back to save you out of kindness or nostalgia. We are doing this because a stable galaxy benefits humanity. We are doing this because it is in our interest. The days of humans serving the Council are over. Now we work together as equals, or not at all. I understand, Kyungmi replied, and I think in time you will find that the Council has learned from its mistakes. We were arrogant. We were foolish. We underestimated humanity. We will not make that mistake again. Over the following weeks, human ships began returning to Council space. But they did not come as refugees or supplicants. They came as partners, as equals, sometimes even as teachers. Human engineers repaired trade routes and taught aliens how to maintain them. Human doctors treated the sick and trained others in new medical techniques. Human diplomats mediated conflicts and brought peace to war-torn regions, but humans also established clear boundaries. They maintained their own territory, their own government, their own military. They traded but did not give away their best technology. They helped but did not serve. They had learned the lesson that the Council had taught them 50 years ago. Respect is not given freely. It must be earned. On the first anniversary of the new agreement, HFY stood before the Galactic Council once again. But this time she stood not as a supplicant but as an equal. The council chamber had been rebuilt, and now human representatives sat in seats of honor alongside the oldest and most respected species. Kyung-mi addressed the assembly. 50 years ago, this council made a terrible mistake. We allowed fear and prejudice to guide our decisions. We exiled humanity because we saw their differences as threats, but in doing so, we exiled our own future. We exiled innovation and progress and hope. She turned to look at HFY. Today, we welcome humanity back. Not as subjects, not as servants, but as equals, as partners, as friends. And we do so with humility and gratitude. They owe us nothing, yet they choose to help us. That is the true measure of their character. The chamber erupted in applause. Delegates from hundreds of worlds stood and clapped. Some were grateful, some were relieved, and some perhaps were still learning to see humans as equals rather than subordinates. But HFY did not care about their prejudices. Humanity had proven itself. They had survived exile. They had thrived in isolation. And now they had returned on their own terms, stronger and more advanced than ever. That night she sent a message to the human colonies. It was brief but triumphant. The council wanted to exile us. We left before they finished counting their votes. They wanted to punish us. We turned punishment into freedom. They wanted to diminish us. We became greater than they ever imagined. Today we return not as the exiled, but as the indispensable. We are humanity, and we bow to no one. Across human space, billions of people received her message and smiled. They had won. Not through war or conquest, but through resilience and innovation and sheer stubborn determination. The galaxy had tried to reject them, and humanity had simply built a better galaxy of their own. And now, finally, the rest of the galaxy was learning what humanity had known all along. You do not exile humans. You do not dismiss them. You do not underestimate them. Because when you try, they will simply prove you wrong.